is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Harry Potter, The Recapping, number 8, in which RoShawn and I listen to the supercut of the Half-Blood Prince. I was about to say the Order of the Phoenix. Pretend you didn't hear that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's about it. Welcome to Unspoiled. So I've had a little bit to drink.
Oh, good for you.
This is a real informal podcast today because I didn't really plan out what we were going to do because the recap is 40 minutes long. Thank you, Austin Lacey. And this is the cut episode. He sent me this to download via email entitled Shortened Cut of Half-Blood Prince. And he said that the original was, as he put it, insane 53 minutes long.
Wow.
So he said I needed to cut out everything that was non-essential to make it closer to the lengths of the previous. I got it down to 41 minutes, but couldn't justify taking anything else out. So
that's amazing.
And I'm really I just love this, Austin. Thank you so much for doing these. And I just can't believe how much, RoShawn, you have evolved in your predictions, because you can hear the difference from the first books where you're just like, I don't know, whatever, who cares? There's very much a just it's Harry Potter. I mean, probably magic, whatever. And it's not like you're really that dismissive of it, but it's definitely this kind of, it'll be fine sort of tone to your voice. And then later on, you can really hear when you're just like, I think this is the thing. This is totally the thing. And I'm like, oh my God, it is totally the thing. Shut up. So it's kind of amazing to listen to that evolution happen. And so the second of the month is the anniversary of the Battle of Hogwarts.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's kind of a tradition for J.K. Rowling to apologize for
right. So
for killing a character. Yeah.
Yeah, and I meant to look it up, but I totally forgot to see who she's apologized for in the past once I realized that this was an ongoing thing. Mm-hmm. So before do you remember?
In the past, it was Fred and Lupin.
Okay. Oh, okay. Those are solid apologies. Thank you for that.
Right. And a lot of people are like, she shouldn't have to apologize. I don't think she feels like she has to apologize. I think it's a commemorative thing.
Yeah, and it's I was going to say it's fun, but you guys, I don't mean it's fun to talk about the characters dying, but it's like a interactive thing, Mm-hmm. Like her acknowledging, I wrote this thing and broke you guys' hearts. I'm sorry.
My bad.
Not like, oh, I wish I hadn't written it that way. It's not that kind of thing.
I'm hoping in the future for an apology on Colin Creevey. Because
really?
While I'm not particularly attached to Colin Creevey, it does feel just rude. Just come on. What the fuck? But this year's apology was for Snape.
It was.
And, it was amazing because she's in her tweet, she's like, don't start a flame war. And everybody's like, what? Start a flame war? Sure.
Oh, did that happen?
Oh, yeah. If you go into the comment sections on the MuggleNet Facebook page, people are just she shouldn't apologize. Fuck that guy. And other people are like, everybody gives him so much shit, but blah, 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 the whole thing.
Right.
Since we have done that episode talking about Snape, I have gotten a lot of messages from people presenting their own personal
takes on it.
Yeah, for not hating him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of comes down to just being a matter of opinion. they're not telling me anything I don't already know.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of what do you call it? It just, if it doesn't bother you as much, it just doesn't bother you as much. To me, it's gross. But if you can get past that, then you can. I can't undo.
Yeah, you're not. I don't feel like I'm interested in changing anybody's mind about what they feel about a particular character.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
it's difficult to do that because it's so subjective.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, it's one thing to talk, like, plot points, I guess,
mm-hmm.
and say that you would have liked the story to go a different way. But to try to convince somebody that they should think Snape is gross, like, I wouldn't spend any time doing that, really.
Right. Like, if you haven't gotten there already with the information that you were given, then I don't really know what to tell you, because that's all I have. We both have the same information, and we just came to wildly different conclusions about it. So, and there was somebody in the patrons group, and I'm sorry because I did not check to see who this was. I only just remembered it, who suggested that his treatment of Neville stemmed from his resentment of Neville potentially having been the chosen one.
Yeah.
I am curious what people think about that, because, so to back it up, you know, we've cited that Snape is a douchebag to Harry, but he's also a huge douchebag to Neville, to the point that Neville's so terrified of him that Snape is his boggart.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been theories tossed around that Snape resented Neville very specifically because he had the same birthday as Harry, and he could have been the one that Voldemort chose to go attack, but instead Voldemort chose the Potters, which resulted in Lily dying. So rather than, you know, the sane thing of just despising Voldemort for that, he, like, takes it out on Neville because of who he could have been and how he represents Lily's death in a way. I think that's a pretty interesting idea. It doesn't change the way I feel about Snape, actually. But
I was just going to say that that's so amazing, because it is really a fascinating theory. Mm-hmm. But even with that said, it still drills down to Snape kind of being a garbage person.
Right, yeah.
Because he's still placing his own resentment and frustration and sadness and grief onto an innocent kid. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't do anything to redeem Snape. It's just a really interesting theory.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It almost makes it worse in a way, because you're like, oh, everybody who came, like, everybody that you feel had any part in this whole thing, you're going to just treat like trash without them being aware of why at all, just because you're, like, pissy about it, which is...
You're going to hold someone responsible for something they are in no way responsible for. Mm-hmm. Which is one of the worst things you can do.
Yeah, right?
You know?
Like,
it's like, but it is a really, like, I had never thought of that until I read that comment. Mm-hmm. It's funny because I think when we were recording, we talked briefly about Harry finding out that it could have been Neville. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe we wondered or mentioned that, would that change how Harry felt about Neville? Would Harry have any kind of resentment, you know, or kind of like, I wish it had been him instead of me, and then you kind of like give Neville the side eye forever after. And that didn't seem to happen with Harry. But it never occurred to me that Snape would be somewhere giving Neville the side eye,
right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, so with that said, there is a hilarious fan theory that I wanted to bring up. And this was written, it's on Teen Vogue, which I think we all know is the publication to be reading these days.
Yeah, that's like, if you're not reading that, then I don't even know what you're doing with your life.
Right? Like, Teen Vogue has come out ahead of fucking CNN and NPR as being the voice of reason. We're in the upside down. I don't know what's happening. But anyway, it was written April 5th, so before JK actually came out and was like, hey, sorry, I killed him. And the theory is Snape is alive. And yeah, okay, I saved this. I haven't read it yet. So I'm going to read it to you and we're going to see what hilarity ensues. Though Lord Voldemort often preferred to use Avada Kedavra to kill his enemies, Potter fanatics will recall it was Nagini. They fucking spelled Nagini wrong, you goddamn fucking posers. Teen Vogue. Get your act together.
We just get lauded, though.
I just gave you...
Right
Oh, you just made me look a fool.
Right out of the gate.
Oh,
Now, Natasha, you can't be trusted. You can't vouch for shit now.
I am hanging my head. This is like the same thing happened on. There was was it Mary Sue or there was AV Club that posted something about Song of Ice and Fire, and they totally got a character's name wrong, and not even like like confused him for another character or they misspelled his name. They just made some shit up that I never heard from anybody in that book before, and they were just like, "Yeah, Lord such and such," and I'm like, I'm sorry. Who the fuck is that? And thankfully everybody in the comments was like, guys. But yeah, Nagini. Oh,
I used to spend so much time on AV Club. I haven't been there in a while.
That's like my go-to a lot of the time.
You know, it's funny. Before I had people on the interwebs to talk to about this kind of shit, I spent all my time on AV Club. But now that I have more friends on Facebook that podcast and watch a bunch of TV, I just hang out with those people now.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
But before, when I was alone in my sort of, virgin fandom, kind of like just dipping my toe in, like, what are other people talking about? Are these people watching? Like, the whole first season of The Leftovers, I spent only on AV Club because I didn't know anybody on Facebook that was watching it with me.
Oh, I feel so touched, kind of. Like, I just, like, I delivered this to your life.
You really did. We don't talk about that much, but you opened up a huge doorway.
And I ushered you into a whole nerd paradise.
You really did. And my husband hates you for it.
Sorry. Oh, man. All right. So it was a death so horrific, even mere muggles were grief-stricken. But should we be? Der Gottkaiser, which is the name of the fucking user, offers two strong arguments leading to suspicions that Snape is actually, wait for it, alive. I love the way that's written. Oh, whatever. The theory begins with the fact that the potions professor didn't appear when Harry called upon the Resurrection Stone to help him finally defeat Lord Voldemort. What? Professor Lupin, Harry's parents, and godfather Sirius Black came to console Harry and give him strength. That raised a red flag for Der Gottkaiser, who points out that Snape was very important to Harry. He loved his mother, gave his life to save him, and shielded him all his life. Harry just found out how Snape had been protecting him the whole time and died to save him, so when he uses the magic ring that brings the spirits of dead people, you'd think Snape would be there. No, you wouldn't.
I didn't miss him.
What possible aid and comfort during one of the most traumatic moments, arguably the most, of your life, would Snape possibly have to offer?
I mean, he could probably offer, like, insight or, some, some, but he couldn't offer comfort.
And that's what I think you want, right? At that point?
You want somebody to make you believe in yourself, that you can go forward, that you can do this.
Because, like, what insight? You're going to die. Harry didn't know he was coming back. He thought he was just going to go die. You don't need insight for that. You just need,
That's true.
Yeah,
but okay.
The second half of the theory is just as poignant. The theorist points out that Snape's body never seemed to be recovered after the Battle of Hogwarts. It's entirely possible that Nagini, ate the body. But go with us here. They keep spelling Nagini's name wrong. I hate you so much. They explain that, quote, after the big battle, they lay out all the bodies, all the people who died, even the Death Eaters and Voldemort's. Harry sees Lupin's and Fred's body, but Snape's body isn't there. So if Snape didn't die, what happened? Perhaps the strongest argument is in the theory attests to Snape's strength as a potions master. Just think about it. Do you really think a potions master wouldn't have access to antivenom? The Redditor asks. You think he wouldn't have prepared for the possibility that Voldemort's snake might turn on him? He was playing a dangerous role as a spy. Voldemort could turn any moment. As such, the Harry Potter theorist concludes that Snape was not murdered, but temporarily paralyzed by the snake's venom. But if Snape is really alive and well, what would he be doing today? And their theory, he probably feels he fulfilled his promise to Dumbledore and Lily and is out traveling the world and living his own adventures. And the article ends with, after all this time? Well, you know the answer to that. Oh, you little sneaky snakes. There is no comment section on this, and I desperately want to be like, Nagini! But nope, nothing doing. Sons of bitches.
Maybe they disabled the comments after a million other people said
Probably.
the same thing.
Yeah, I'm absolutely not the only person that would have noticed that. That's like, I'm turning into one of those people that messages me after we post something and they're like, you know, it's like 12 people being like, it's pronounced rolling. I know. Oh, God. I'm so sorry. But the only thing that, like, and I understand why she did it the way she did it, because we need Snape to be alive to give Harry his memories. But it is really silly to me that Voldemort would use Nagini to kill Snape rather than just Avada Kedavra. Especially when his concern is becoming master of the Elder Wand. So you'd think he'd be much more inclined to use his wand to kill the guy, just in case wands don't know you used a snake.
Right.
Right? And like, we've talked about wand lore being a little iffy anyway, but it is just, for me, if I had been in Voldemort's position and that was like my entire goal was getting this wand to obey me properly, I wouldn't be taking any risks on that. I wouldn't be going with my snake when I have a perfectly good wand to use.
Yeah. Though, because Nagini is a Horcrux,
mm-hmm.
so that's part of Voldemort. Does that count? Is it like part of him killed? You know,
maybe. Like, it's too much of a question to me. If I were him, you know, like,
okay.
Just. I mean, it's sure possible, but there's a part of my voice in my head going, yeah, but, and like, if I had been him, I just wouldn't have taken any chances. And like I said, he has to do it that way in order for Snape to live long enough to give Harry his memories. Otherwise, it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, to a degree, but it does feel a little bit like, yeah, that's not really Voldemort's MO. Not really. Like,
yeah.
He does that more when he's trying to torture somebody. Like, he'll do it with Muggles, like he did it with the Muggle studies teacher.
Mm-hmm. And didn't she eat the caretaker of the Riddle house?
No, he Avada Kedavra'd him too.
Did
Although
he?
The Muggle studies teacher, he Avada Kedavra'd and then Nagini ate her.
Oh.
So both of them, Nagini ate, but he killed them first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like maybe if that had been established more as something that he did, it wouldn't have felt quite so like, wait, what? Why is he doing it that way?
Right.
But because it was so odd, and Nagini being kept in that, like, protective cloud, so that he has to move the cloud onto
just
Snape.
So that she can, yeah.
Yeah. Just sort of a weird thing.
Yeah. Maybe it's one of those things where as you're writing, you don't think about it, and then you get to that moment and you're like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
And it's too late to, like, go back, but there's not really a good workaround either. So you're just like, all right, well, we're just doing it this way then.
Hope everybody rolls with this. Are we cool, guys? Okay. So yeah, I just want to talk about Snape for a minute, which, we've chewed Snape over a lot, but because of what was going on and everything, and that ridiculous theory.
What if he's still alive? You know, I don't see him traveling the world enjoying himself.
Absolutely not.
Does not sound like something he would be the least bit interested in doing.
Nope. That more than anything, to be honest. Like, it's a character thing to me that, of course, Harry wouldn't want Snape there. The people that are closest to him that he cared about would be the ones he calls with the stone. And then the character thing of Snape He's on a beach somewhere, fucking drinking a margarita. No. Snape is in a dank cave, probably, muttering about these ungrateful children, and
or he's just
a boiled egg.
He's somewhere teaching, being terrible to a whole other set of innocent children under some weird aliens.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that person who created that theory just doesn't really understand the characters to a degree. I just can't, where would he be teaching either? Like, if you think about it, who's going to take Snape? I guess once the story gets around. But, oh, what a weird, okay.
Yeah, I mean, what if, okay, so say he's alive. Why... He has been outed as, technically a good guy. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason for him to even leave and be in hiding. Why wouldn't he just be, Voldemort's dead, he's defeated. Yep. There's no danger for him to just be like, hey guys, I'm still here. Why would he have to leave the country and go somewhere else or whatever?
That is a very good point. There's no reason for him to be hiding at all.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is a 40-minute long supercut. So we should get started.
All right.
And, remember that nobody can hear you scream when... That's not what I meant.
Remember what?
I was saying nobody can hear you scream. Nobody can hear you when you react if you're doing it while it's still playing, because I'm going to have to cut those parts out later. So save your reactions for when I have pressed pause.
Okay. I'll do my best.
Okay. Hold on. Whoops, there was a problem playing this audio file. You fucking hoe. Why do you have to do this? Okay.
Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling.
The third tongue of flame, which shot from the wand, twisted with the others and bound itself thickly around their clasped hands like a rope, like a fiery snake.
I'm not buying it. Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Nope. Alright, I know this looks bad. He's got an answer for every fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't trust it. Is he really? No, he's not. He can't be.
Oh, he can.
He is. So really? Is this what's happening now?
Well, remember when I said I kind of have a problem with that meme?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Is he really? You guys. Oh.
So what do you think that this mission is that Draco has?
Well, he obviously has to try to kill Harry Potter.
Oh.
Am I wrong? Am I super wrong? I thought that was clear.
Yeah, think about who else Voldemort couldn't handle.
Dumbledore? That doesn't make sense, though. You're going to send Draco to kill Dumbledore?
If you want him to die, if you want Draco to die.
I don't like any of this at all. I don't want to read this book. At the end, when he does the fucking unbreakable vow, the first two, I feel like he could wiggle his way out of, because she says, everything to the best of your ability. But that last part where it says you will finish the deed, that's he's kind of locked in now. I'm not sure what the consequences are of breaking an unbreakable vow, but they can't be good.
Right.
5 books with me thinking Snape is the bad guy every time I turn around. And then you finally convince me that he's a good guy, and then you open up this book with, no, he's a fucking bastard. The whole time.
Oh, I forgot that I read the very first chapter to you.
Yeah, I did too.
And that meme that you had seen, that was smart of me to turn that shit around.
You're a evil genius.
Oh, sneaky snake. And I got, because somebody, it wasn't There was only one person. So that was part of why I was like, I'm not going to treat this as a crisis. But there was... Are you opening like a fucking Sun Chips bag over there?
Sorry. I'm going to go ahead and mute that real quick.
There was one person that messaged me after I posted that episode, and they were really pissed at me because they felt like I gave too much away in that Draco. They had thought when they first read it that Draco was supposed to be trying to kill Harry. And the fact that I like kind of prodded you in the direction of Dumbledore was too much.
Really?
So they were like, I feel like you really basically just spoiled her, and I just wish you hadn't said anything because...
Really?
Yeah. And when I first read it, it never even occurred to me that it was Harry. Like, there was an instant where I was like, maybe it's Harry, and then I'm like, no, because he could do that easy. That's not this big, like... When you want to set him an impossible task, set it with the headmaster who he never sees. Like, he'd barely even be around Dumbledore to begin with. Harry, it's like he could do it in the hallway at school. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
anywhere. It just didn't make sense to me. So it never even like stuck with me at all that it was anybody but Dumbledore. So that was why I kind of pushed you. And like I said, it wasn't like a bunch of people came at me like, what the fuck did you say? But I was just kind of surprised by that because it never really occurred to me that there would be people who had assumed that through the whole book only to be like surprised at the end when that's not who it was. And I don't feel like you would have thought that either.
You know what? There's no telling what I would have thought.
That's fair.
At the time. Mm-hmm. Things were crazy. Yeah. It's even hard now for me to put myself back in that space. Mm-hmm. Because once you know, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
You have the same weak spot that Dumbledore does.
God damn it. Snape could really be playing both sides. But see, the thing is he... See, I don't know which to believe. Dumbledore does have a weak spot that Snape very clearly articulates. Mm-hmm. And I could see him playing that. I don't know if Snape could play Voldemort in the same way. Mm-hmm. So that makes me think that he really must be on, like, I don't feel like Voldemort would fall for that. Like, Voldemort's really going to bet you. There's a part of me that's still feeling like there's a way maybe this isn't what it looks like. Like, there is a part of me that's going, this give it 2 chapters. This is all clearly this is a misunderstanding, and it's all going to be worked out. I was so sure he wasn't. God damn it. Now I'm looking back on everything. And I'm going right to the fucking last book with the occlumency classes. Mm-hmm. It seems like, well, why would he want to teach Harry? So I don't know whether to look back on that and think, oh, that's why he was so eager to stop the lessons. Mm-hmm. And yet, I have nothing to say to justify it, but there is a kernel in me that still doesn't believe it. I don't see how he comes back from this. I'm trying to think, how could this be explained in a way that's reasonable and makes sense? Mm-hmm. It turns out that he really is, on Harry's side. And I don't know what she could write, how she writes herself out of this corner. He is still, I guess, undercover. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to see him in the next couple chapters pretending like he's down for the cause, and he's not. Yeah. And now I know it.
Oh, I love that moment. You just kind of like, you could just hear you like deflating a little bit. Oh, this motherfucker. Now I have to sit here and watch you lie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's and it's funny because after the big reveal, I still like there's a part of, and I am not. Well, I was gonna say I'm not a sentimental person, but that's like balderdash. I am. It's just deep down inside. But even at this point, there's a part of me that just doesn't 100% want to believe that he's a bad guy. Mm-hmm. Even though you basically just told me you're a piece of shit. And I'm still like, but no, there's a kernel of me that thinks that,
This is like an abusive boyfriend relationship.
It is. It was, And it's funny to me because it's so clear through all these supercuts that I was never sure about Snape. Mm-hmm. Never. Even, like, I would say something all bold and then, like, be like, but maybe not. You know, and to sustain that over 7 books is pretty fucking remarkable.
Yeah, it is.
You know? So yeah, it's funny to me to hear, like, I'm just always going back and forth about Snape. I just never, you know, he was just a slippery Pete the whole time.
Slippery Pete? What is that? You just like, that feels like you made up a folk character just because you couldn't think of another name.
That's the name of one of Kramer's friends on an episode of Seinfeld.
Slippery Pete?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And also, I think the name of one of George's fake horses when he says he has a house in the Hamptons.
Oh, Slippery Pete. All right. I like it. Like, it just sounds like Slippery Pete's going to come and steal the laundry off the washing line if you don't go and get it.
That's pretty much what the character was, too.
Slippery Pete's going to steal the eggs out of the hen house. Okay. Slippery Pete. Noted. Going on a t-shirt. Okay.
Like, I'm mad at Rowling, but not really.
Right, yeah.
I'm mad at myself for being so utterly taken advantage of.
That's about it.
Like, I feel like I wasn't paying attention. All right, that's it. I'm closing the book.
I hope that you enjoyed this brand new book opening.
God, this most awful, awful book ever. Oh my God, it was so hard. It was...
I don't know how to tell you this, RoShawn, but if this was hard for you...
Oh, shut up!
It doesn't get easier.
Just stop talking.
Oh. Truth.
So that was just still us talking about the beginning of that book.
Mm-hmm. It was the very first chapter, and you were already like, "This is sad," and I'm like,
"This is terrible. I don't want to do this anymore."
Right?
You promised me fun and magic.
I promised you magic. Did I ever say fun? Maybe I did. Who knows?
Pretty sure you did.
Oh, well.
Oh, it'll be fun, you said.
Chapter 4. Horace Slughorn.
In these chapters, Harry meets the new teacher.
Ah, you almost said something.
I came close, and then I was like, maybe I shouldn't.
You're like, did they actually say that yet? They didn't, so...
So, what did you think of these 2 chapters?
There wasn't enough Snape for my liking.
Yeah. I think we saw that one coming.
Well, I already said that I'm still not ready to give up on Snape. Mm-hmm. So I'm firmly rooted in that. And I will not be...
That being denial.
Professor, what happened to your... I have no time to explain now, said Dumbledore. It is a thrilling tale. I wish to do it justice.
Which I'm assuming is damage from the duel with Voldemort in the last book.
Okay.
But I don't know for a fact. But I
can't think
of...
you don't.
And I feel like, why haven't you gotten that looked at? Like, where's Mr. Pomeroy why are you walking around with that?
You don't know he hasn't gotten it looked at?
I know, right? So then what if he got it looked at and they can't do anything about it? That does not bode well. I feel very uncertain and a little nervous for the well-being of characters that I care about. Like, it's early, but this thing with Dumbledore's hand, that is bothering me. He's vulnerable. I feel like for the first time, Dumbledore is vulnerable. And I don't know if he makes it out of this book. Like, I know there's one book after this, but for the first time, I'm not sure Dumbledore's in that last book.
Okay.
Which is not a good feeling.
Now Umbridge has left. Obviously, we need a new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, don't we? So, what's he like?
I mean, it's fair to say that Slughorn has to be Defense of the Dark Arts, right?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Perhaps this will make you more confident. He moved towards Borgin and was blocked from view by the cabinet. Harry, Ron and Hermione shuffled sideways to try and keep him in sight, but all they could see was Borgin, looking very frightened.
Do you have any theories on that?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. And unless I don't know how the Dark Mark works exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's something that Draco would have or if he's too young. Like, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is does he like roll up his sleeve and show it to like let Borgin know I'm not to be fucked with?
That certainly, if he had one, seems like the kind of shit he would pull.
I mean, we know from the earlier chapters that he's been given a mission, so obviously he's in the league. I don't know if you meet Voldemort and once you pledge fealty or whatever, you get the deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, but other than that, I don't know what he could have shown him that would have frightened him.
What do you mean you might not be at Hogwarts next year? Said Pansy indignantly, ceasing grooming Malfoy at once. Well, you never know, said Malfoy with the ghost of a smirk. I might have moved on to bigger and better things.
I can't wait to find out what exactly Malfoy's mission is. I wasn't sure if it was Dumbledore that was the target, or couldn't possibly be Harry, but maybe. Or is it something completely unrelated? You know, something that I haven't even thought of. Maybe some sort of guerrilla warfare. Maybe he's going to blow something up.
He knew that Snape had come to fetch him for this, for the few minutes when he could needle and torment Harry without anyone else listening.
This is going to sound ridiculous because Snape already told me what he's doing, but I still kind of don't 100% believe him. So I need something else to happen for me to believe that he's actually a Death Eater.
What would make you believe?
I need him to come out and say to everybody, I'm a Death Eater.
I love that. You just fucking... And then he even does, and you're still like, well, I know you say that, but like, that's exactly what somebody who wasn't a Death Eater but wants us to think he's a Death Eater would say, is that he's a Death Eater, man. Layers. Shit goes all the way to the top. Like, oh my God. And I want to talk about, I know we talked about this a little bit, like during the book, but it's bringing it back up for me that Harry's friends didn't believe him about his concerns about Malfoy.
Yeah.
And that just drives me fucking bananas.
Yeah.
It
never really gets like, oh, you were right.
Right? Yeah, there's no moment of triumph because the way he's proven right is Dumbledore dies.
Yeah.
So there's no like preening moment after that happens. But there is a part of me that's still like, yeah, but he was right though. Like, guys, I would have appreciated at least their apology.
Yeah, like low key, somebody should have been like, "I'm sorry, we didn't believe you, Harry."
Yeah.
Or if we hadn't have fought you so hard, maybe we could have done something to prevent this.
Exactly. Like, that really is the major thing. Is like, I tried to fucking tell you guys, and look, now he's dead.
Yeah.
Later on, once you find out what happened and that he meant to die, that's different. But he doesn't know that for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I would be, myself, pretty resentful if it turned out
clearly Harry is better than us.
This is very true.
In a lot of ways. But yeah, I probably would have, I might have had a scene at the funeral where I just erupted in rage and been like, if you motherfuckers should listen to me.
Yeah, right?
And then people would have had to excuse me because I was so, like, overcome with grief. So they couldn't even be mad at me about it. That's how I would have handled it. But,
like, that's... I kind of wish that had been how that was handled. I can't lie.
If it had been a black funeral, that's how that shit would have been handled.
Oh my God, that's like the Donna episode when she gets married. Did you see that on Community or Parks and Rec? Oh, there's an episode where Donna, her whole family is just everybody's drama. There's a feud between everybody, and she has to assign Leslie to keep the peace between everybody, even though they're all trying to bring up old shit that like happened like 20 years ago.
That's how we do.
Oh my God, it was hilarious.
I put a video up yesterday of, it's a funeral, guys. It's like a video from somebody's funeral, but people are like pop locking. Oh my God, you didn't see it?
No.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm not gonna hold up the podcast, but yeah, I'm about to send you that shit.
Oh, you can post that in the
I
group
guess the
too.
guy who died, we had like a crew or whatever. And it goes on forever. It's like two different guys that are dancing in front of the casket.
Oh my God.
Yeah, let me go look for this shit and get that to you post haste.
That is the best thing.
Yeah,
Holy
it's
shit.
happening.
I have like no right. I don't have a crew, but I want people to pop lock
Right?
at my
I
fucking
told
funeral.
Steve, if you love me, you will do this when I die. If you love me, you will dance.
Sincerely, like, guys, I definitely want some Ja Rule happening at my funeral.
Oh my God, shut up.
I do. I don't care. Fire Festival be damned.
I was getting ready to say, even after this festival shenanigans.
Can we please make my funeral like a parody of the Fire Festival where there's
Oh my
fucking tents
God.
and everybody just gets a piece of bread with a piece of like orange cheese on it?
One wilted piece of lettuce. Bread's all soggy and shit.
Oh my God. I would love
That
that
shit looks
so
like
much.
prison food.
And then
That
everybody
whole
gets
festival
locked
thing.
into the funeral home and isn't allowed to leave for 6 hours.
I laugh so fucking hard at that.
Oh my
I
God.
can't even tell you. All right, I'm sending it to you in Messenger.
Okay.
So just get your life together, man.
It's so beyond belief that it was allowed to like continue, and they were as disorganized as they were, and they still were like, yeah, everybody get on those planes and come here.
I thought they stopped the plane.
They finally did after people started to get there and were like, what the fuck? And posted on Instagram and Twitter and everything. Then they started to be like, maybe we shouldn't have done this.
My fucking thing is just that, and I commented somewhere, I was like, we haven't heard shit from him in a fucking decade.
Mm-hmm.
And his mother popped up and people were like, yeah, have my 13 grand.
Right. Like,
Come on.
listen, I'm not going to lie. If it turned out Ja Rule was going to be in Dallas, yeah, I would pay to go see Ja Rule. I would pay $40
Right?
for a ticket to
drive
see Ja Rule.
to Dallas.
Right, to drive. I am not dropping 12 fucking grand. Oh my God. Yeah.
That's because they thought they were all going to get there and bang models. That's what that
Yep.
was.
And Blink 182 is the headliner, and you're like champing at the bit for that?
Really? Yeah.
Like, guys. Yeah. And it's funny because like, I'm not exactly sure the demographics, but it looked like there were a lot of young kids there. So it's not even like you can be like, oh, nostalgia.
No,
That wasn't a thing for them.
Yeah, like, I guess if you have that kind of money to throw at something like that, then it just seems like a cool thing to do. And it's like their version of going to the fucking beach for the weekend.
I guess.
You know, like, just no big deal. No big deal. That sounds like a cool way to spend a couple days.
Oh, man.
Here's 12 grand.
Okay. Getting back to it. Long pause. Sorry.
So what about him actually like doing something?
He would have to prove to me that he either is a Death Eater, he would have to be responsible for the death of somebody.
Okay.
Which, you know what? Who else does? So does Bellatrix. She needs to see Snape kill somebody.
So what you're saying is that you have the same standards as Bellatrix
Exactly.
Lestrange.
I just realized.
Oh man, you might want to recheck your life choices here, lady.
Chapter 9. The Half-Blood Prince.
When I opened the book and I saw the chapters I was reading, because, you know, I don't read the table of contents, I'm like, oh, we're getting to it early. But we're not.
No.
I was a little salty about that, because I thought for sure this chapter was getting ready to tell me, you know, all about the Half-Blood Prince, because it's fucking called the Half-Blood Prince.
Mm-hmm.
It's Aragog. I think he's dying. And the rest of the tribe, Aragog's family, they're getting a bit funny now he's ill. A bit restive.
Which I had forgotten about.
Yeah, how about him?
On purpose. And I'm worried about that. And in my mind, there's giant spiders coming to Hogwarts. So I'm like, how many more chapters do I have to read before the giant spiders come? Because I don't want to see them. I really don't.
They're just gonna troop the fuck in.
Oh my god, it's horrible just to imagine. Ugh.
Not only the handy hints and shortcuts on potions that were earning him such a glowing reputation with Slughorn, but also the imaginative little jinxies and hexes scribbled in the margins, which Harry was sure, judging by the crossings out and revisions, that the prince had invented himself.
I'm simultaneously really happy he has this book and super sketchy about the book.
Okay, why are you super sketchy at this point?
You can't just be speaking spells from an unknown source and you don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's careless. But at the same time, he's doing really well in that class. And I want him to succeed. And I still feel like it's got to be Voldemort's book. But then I'm like, but they already did that.
Well, who do you think it is then?
I really think it's got to be him. Who else could it be? So this is somebody who is boasting about being half-blood and is also very good at being a wizard. And it's almost like, look at how good I can do.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's Dumbledore's book?
And what is more, said Professor McGonagall with an air of awful finality, Mr. Malfoy was not in Hogsmeade today.
I don't think Malfoy had to have been in the village.
So do you think he Imperious somebody to Imperious someone?
I don't even know if he would need to Imperious someone. If it's not Malfoy, it's Malfoy adjacent.
Because he was doing detention with me. He has now failed to complete his transfiguration homework twice in a row.
Why isn't he doing his homework?
Why isn't he?
I mean, I know from the train ride to school that he feels like he's over school, like he's got more important things happening on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
But to just be blowing off homework, it makes it seem like he's doing something else with his time.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't seen Malfoy really in a couple of chapters, I feel like. So I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Dun, dun, dun!
I got a lot of unanswered questions.
Did Professor McGonagall tell you what I told her after Katie got hurt? About Draco Malfoy? She told me of your suspicions, yes.
Yeah, Harry can't get anybody to give him any fucking traction on this Draco Malfoy thing that he's on.
Nope.
And even better than that, Malfoy's gone off sick too. What? Said Harry, wheeling round to stare at her. He's ill? What's wrong with him?
Well, we haven't had much information on the task that we know he's been set. I'm wondering if he's off getting that set up. Because he thought the necklace was going to work, but that fell through, so now he's kind of scrambling for something.
Mm-hmm. So you're firmly on that the necklace was Malfoy?
Yeah, that's where I am with that.
You know perfectly well what we're talking about, said Hermione shrilly. You spiked Ron's juice with Lucky Potion at breakfast. Felix Felicis. No, I didn't, said Harry, turning back to face them both. I
fell for it. Why wouldn't he do it? He seems, the situation is desperate enough. I know it's exactly the kind of rule that he would break for exactly the kind of reason he would break it. And then right on cue, Hermione shows up. She calls him out on it. She makes a big to-do about it. It all seems like something that I've already seen them do.
He claims to have been invited to your party and to have been delayed in setting out. All right, I wasn't invited, he said angrily. I was trying to gatecrash. Happy?
I forgot about the Felix Felicis thing.
Yeah.
And when does Harry take the second half of it? Oh, it's for getting the Horcrux memory. Right,
mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, that was well done too. But wait, he doesn't take a second half of it because he didn't use the first half of it. What am I talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
It turns out that
So does he use all of it for the Horcrux memory?
No, there's
This is
I'm
gonna
not
make
good
me
at
mad.
this.
I'm looking it up. Makes the drinker lucky for a period of time. Blah blah blah. Oh, there's a little history lesson. Zygmunt Budge invented this potion in the 16th century and deemed it his greatest accomplishment ever, dubbing it the crowning achievement of my career. And let's see. In September of 1996, Harry Potter won a small vial. It would give Harry 12 hours worth of effects. He pretended to add some blah, blah, blah. The first real use of the potion by Harry was attaining an important memory from Slughorn. He was originally hesitant in using it. The second use was distributed between Ron, Hermione, and Ginny in the battle against the Death Eaters. That's right.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they have the recipe. Add Ashwinder egg to a cauldron. The fuck is Ashwinder egg? Juice a squill bulb. Chop up anemone-like growth on the back of Murtlap.
Okay.
Grind up Akami eggshell. Oh, I'm loving this. Sprinkle of powdered common rue. Stir vigorously, then heat the cauldron one last time. Wave wand over potion in a figure of 8 and incantation Felix Empra. Oh, Ashwinder egg is any wizard realizing that one or more Ashwinders are loose in the house must trace them immediately and locate their nest of eggs. A magical serpent which is born from the embers of an unattended magical fire.
Oh.
Ooh, neato.
I knew it was a snake. I don't know how I knew that. I guess it's the name, Ashwinder. Sounded like a snake.
Sidewinder.
Mm-hmm.
And the Akami is a plumed, two-legged, serpentine-bodied creature with wings that may reach up to 15 feet in height. The Akami is extremely aggressive to anyone who approaches it and lives off insects, rats, birds, and occasionally monkeys.
Oh.
Ooh. All right, moving on. If I can.
I'm not sure he was trying to sneak into the fucking party.
What do you think he was trying to do?
Don't know.
Answer the question, RoShawn.
I don't know what he was trying to do, but I don't buy that he was trying to get into the party.
I made the unbreakable vow, Draco. Looks like you'll have to break it then, because I don't need your protection. It's my job. He gave it to me, and I'm doing it.
I'm not surprised that Malfoy resents the fact that his mother enlisted help for her son. So I get that he would resent that. However, I was surprised that his resentment carried this far to where he was actively not involving Snape in whatever he has going on. Mm-hmm. I was really surprised by that and really frustrated because that means I don't get to find out what the fuck he's doing. Snape is, I was reluctant to believe the beginning of the book where it tells me clearly to my face what his deal is and whose side he's on. I wasn't reading this like, oh, Snape's just doing 007. I was reading it like, yeah, this motherfucker really is not shit, and it's the side he's on. And I'm not sure when that change happened for me. Maybe it's just because it hasn't come back up, and he's just been awful, like his regular old awful Snapey self.
Fair.
Tonks's Patronus has changed its form, he told him. I didn't know that could happen. Why would your Patronus change? Sometimes a great shock, an emotional upheaval. It looked big, and it had 4 legs, said Harry, struck by a sudden thought and lowering his voice. Hey, it couldn't be...
Clearly, it's a dog, right?
I mean, sure.
I'm saying it's a dog. I feel like me and Harry got it at the same moment.
Okay.
It's big, it had 4 legs, and it, even though they don't say an animal, the first thing I thought was, oh fuck, it's a big shaggy dog. Now, granted, I don't have a good track record with guessing people's Patronus.
Oh my god, that's true.
But
true.
I feel like it's a big dog.
While you were there, you would have ample opportunity to speak to Gawain Robards, my successor as head of the Aura Office. Dolores Umbridge has told me that you cherish an ambition to become an Aura. Well, that could be arranged very easily. Harry felt anger bubbling in the pit of his stomach. So Dolores Umbridge was still at the Ministry, was she?
How about that? Why is she still talking to fucking anybody?
Mm-hmm.
She should not be talking to anybody. Why is she still at the Ministry? When he raises up his arm to show him the fucking don't tell lies or whatever it is on his hand.
Yep.
I had like a little bit of a hard on. I'm not gonna lie. I got a little bit of a chubby.
When he had finished, Hermione sat in thought for a moment and then said, "Don't you think he was pretending to offer help so that he could trick Malfoy into telling him what he's doing?" "Well, yes," said Hermione. "Ron's dad and Lupin think so."
As much as I hate to admit it, I have lost faith in Snape. I don't, and then the more people are like, maybe he's just undercover, the more irritated I'm getting at the refusal of anyone to consider the idea that he is like not on our side. But I'm really like finding myself getting just as frustrated as he is with this refusal of anyone to just like think outside of this straight and narrow sort of. He's absolutely on our team and no one should be questioned, and Dumbledore trusts him, so that's good enough for me. Yeah, I'm getting tired of it.
"So, sir," said Harry in what he hoped was a polite, calm voice, "you definitely still trust—" "I have been tolerant enough to answer that question already," said Dumbledore, but he did not sound very tolerant anymore.
And now, you know what? Just now, I realize that actually worries me. Because when someone is so immovable, that's like a red flag.
Yeah.
And why should anybody delve further into Morphin's mind when he had already confessed to the crime?
And it's not a stretch for anybody to believe because he already has a record.
Yeah.
He's clearly an undesirable. So no one is in a rush to try to prove his innocence or question it any deeper.
Yep.
And they just sort of lock him up and throw away the key.
That's interesting that you said undesirable. That's funny.
Undesirable. Natasha, you can't just let shit fly by you. You gotta say some shit about it. I just gotta poke a little bit and be like, listeners, did you catch that? Did you? Did you hear it? Because there's a thing later. Did you put it together? I don't know if you heard. Oh my god. Trust your listeners. Okay.
Sir, I wondered what you know about Horcruxes.
Do you have any theories on what Horcruxes are?
Okay, I think it's a spell. Not necessarily something that you do, but maybe something that you have, like something that you can acquire, maybe that you can get your hands on and then use it to do something else.
I've got one last bottle of this oak-matured mead. Meant to give that to Dumbledore for Christmas. Oh well, he shrugged. He can't miss what he's never had.
I mean, I don't know that Malfoy's behind it, but I feel like he is, because I don't have anybody else to blame right now.
Yeah, like, I get what you're saying, but also, how does Malfoy know this is meant for Dumbledore?
I don't know where he got the idea to give it to Dumbledore. You know, you can go around planting shit in people's heads. I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
Like you said, you know, it's a good point that no one knows Slughorn. We don't know that anyone knows Slughorn is planning on giving this bottle to Dumbledore, right? But why else would it be poisoned? Unless someone's trying to poison Slughorn. You know what? Someone could be trying to poison Slughorn because he's got a memory that they know Dumbledore's after.
But attempted murder? That's different. It's no wonder Dumbledore's angry with Snip. Hagrid stopped in his tracks. A familiar, guilty expression on what was visible of his face above his tangled black beard.
In these chapters, RoShawn changes her mind. Again.
Oh, you guys. I don't know what's going on anymore. I thought I knew. I thought that, like, I was hip. I'm not hip. I just... Fuck, man. See? Snape?
What do you think?
I think he's on our side again.
I just heard Snape saying Dumbledore took too much for granted and maybe he, Snape, didn't want to do it anymore. Anyway, Dumbledore told him flat out he'd agreed to do it and that was all there was to it. Pretty firm with him.
See, that one little line. That's all it took. That too, Hagrid and his half-ass, not getting the whole story, gossiping ass. I'm so mad that he couldn't give us any context.
Nope.
So all I can do is take the little bit of words that he half-ass heard, and somehow I'm convinced that it must mean that Snape is undercover for Dumbledore, and he's saying it's too much and he can't do it anymore. And Dumbledore is saying, you have to, you said you would. I thought that I had closed the door on that, right? Mm-hmm. Like this book is the series is coming to an end. I feel like I know people now, you know?
Right.
And they are who they are, right? And that is not true. You don't understand how deflated I am by this waffle that I have done. He doesn't want to, you know, do this mission where he's pretending to be a Death Eater, which would make him. Does that make him like a triple agent? A Death Eater pretending to be undercover, but he's also Order of the Phoenix member pretending to be a Death Eater. I don't know.
Will you give him back his bat and get back to the goalposts? Roared Harry, pelting towards McLaggen, just as McLaggen took a ferocious swipe at the bludger and mishit it.
I didn't see that coming either. Right. Either did Harry.
Get it? You're fucking fired.
Okay then. I want you to tail Draco Malfoy.
I'm almost worried that Harry's focus on Malfoy is obviously feeding my focus on Malfoy. I'm wondering if I'm missing something. If me and Harry are missing something because we're so focused on Malfoy. And Quidditch is like the one thing, you know. It's his favorite thing, except staying alive.
His features were not those Harry had seen emerge from the great stone cauldron almost 2 years before. They were not as snake-like. The eyes were not yet scarlet, the face not yet mask-like, and yet he was no longer handsome Tom Riddle. It was as though his features had been burned and blurred. They were waxy and oddly distorted, and the whites of his eyes now had a permanently bloody look, though the pupils were not yet the slits that Harry knew they would become.
Something he is doing is changing him, and it sounds like he's into some weird shit. I don't know. With this description of him, I just got a very kind of like Frankenstein's monster kind of like, what are you building? Like, what are you turning yourself into?
He has been making regular visits to the 7th floor with a variety of other students who keep watch for him while he enters the Room of Requirement.
I was really surprised about the unknowable room because I just completely forgot that was a thing that happens. Mm-hmm. And you've been like asking me, what do you think Malfoy's getting up to? And I was just like, nothing. I had no idea. And I felt like the exasperation that this didn't occur to me was the same as Harry's. like what the fuck? Like, that was the biggest part of the last book. Mm-hmm. And it's like out of sight, out of mind.
I mean, he's sensitive. People bully him too, and he feels lonely and hasn't got anybody to talk to, and he's not afraid to show his feelings and cry.
I don't think there's anybody who's being bullied that we know, but I just feel like this has got to be something important. I thought Neville, but the way she says the thing about being bullied makes me think it's not him, and I really don't know any other kids that it could be.
Was it his imagination, or did Malfoy, like Tonks, look thinner? Certainly he looked paler. His skin still had that greyish tinge, probably because he so rarely saw daylight these days.
See, I don't know if that's what Harry thinks, but I don't know, like, see, this polyjuice potion's got me all fucked up.
Because he's a werewolf. Malfoy's a werewolf, that's why. I should have, I wish that I knew about that theory then while we were reading it, so that I could plant that insanity in your mind and make you think that was
I would have fucking spun out of control if that had been introduced.
Oh, honestly, there are a lot of ridiculous theories that I wish I had known about, because it would have been fun to just, like, fuck with you with them.
Oh, fun for who?
Everybody but you.
Because without the map in hand, I don't know if I believe anybody is anybody. He mentions that he just doesn't look well, but that's one thing. But the fact that he doesn't seem like himself with the fucking sort of obnoxious arrogance that Malfoy has. I mean, granted, it could just be because his mission isn't going well, or it could be that it's, not really Malfoy sitting in that class.
I love how paranoid you are.
I really don't know where you get these brainwaves, my boy. Unless... Harry pushed the Half-Blood Prince's book deeper into his bag with his foot. It's just your mother's genes coming out in you?
How great would it be if this is his mom's book? I mean, it can't be, because I think they already determined he's much older than when his parents were in school. Mm-hmm. But the fact that Slughorn can't stop talking about Lily, it's just like, oh, it should be her book.
I am not proud, he whispered through his fingers. I am ashamed of what that memory shows. I think I may have done great damage that day.
The fake memory we saw was Voldemort, Tom Riddle, asking about Horcruxes. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, I'll never tell you. So clearly he told him some shit. The trouble that Slughorn has gone through to hide this memory, and what looks in this moment of being the deep shame he feels around it, and what he may have contributed to.
Right.
It's got to be serious. It's got to be something big. I don't know. I have no idea exactly what kind of spell it is. Maybe it's some sort of immortality spell. Mm-hmm. We know that that's what Voldemort has been working towards, and he was able to lose his body at some point and still not completely fade into non-existence. So maybe this spell is something that helps him do that? Whatever this memory is, Slughorn is not going to have any idea of what he's really doing, what's really happening in this moment. He's going to be the same person we've met so far, kind of self-absorbed, right? Kind of just enjoying the fact that he has information that somebody needs from him and is willing to flatter him to get, and enjoy the position of being able to give somebody something that they can't get anywhere else.
Yep.
Without realizing what that person's going to do with that information.
I think, perhaps, I may be close to finding another one. There are hopeful signs. And if you do, said Harry quickly, can I come with you and help get rid of it?
And Dumbledore is like, yeah, hell yeah.
Yep.
I was shocked.
Right?
Like, after how many books of him being like, no, you stay behind, it's not safe, you concentrate on your studies, or you whatever. Dumbledore's like, let's ride.
Yep.
And I could not even believe it.
If, say, her father was a wizard whose surname was Prince, and her mother was a muggle, then that would make her a half-blood prince.
He might be thinking that a woman wouldn't be that, because Hermione's all like, oh, a girl can't be clever. I don't think that's what he's thinking.
No, I agree.
But I don't think that he thinks that a girl would be that, I think I used last time we said impatient. Okay. And
I would go with pompous, actually.
Oh shit, I forgot. Chris is in here.
Hey,
Chris. What's up, Chris? That startled me for a second. I was like, what
the fuck is that?
Okay.
Oh, that's fair.
I am not getting, from what little we've read in the Half-Blood Prince's notes, I'm not getting an easy-to-deal-with human being.
Whoever it is really feels like they're smarter than everyone else that's in the room, and smarter than the teacher, which is why we have all these shortcuts. Like, why are you making us do it this way when it makes so much more sense to just do it the other way?
Mm-hmm. It was Snape who had overheard the prophecy. It was Snape who had carried the news of the prophecy to Voldemort.
I've told you this, Natasha. I'm shipping Snape and Dumbledore, because I honestly do not know why the fuck Dumbledore keeps this man around, and the only explanation I can come up with is he's just that person who, turns your crank. We've all had those people that like you don't really like them, but you love them, and you don't like who you are around them, but if they called, you'd answer.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment of the relationship. I also like that everybody in Dumbledore's life is like, he ain't shit.
And Dumbledore's just like, no, you don't know him the way that I know him.
Exactly, you don't know him how I know him. He's different when it's just us.
Yeah, when you guys aren't around, he's just so sweet. Yeah, Chris, that's a fair assessment, I think. Astute, sir.
They've tried to pull this thing with Snape before, like in the first book, where you think he's the bad guy, and it turns out, no, he's just an asshole. So... it's like, you think he's up to something no good, but actually no, he's spying on the professor that he has a crush on. And like, I gotta say, given how awesome the prefect's bathroom is, I can only imagine how the headmaster's bathroom is. So I mean, Snape is pulling some rank.
True enough. Okay, I like this whole theory a great deal, and I am fine with it.
I've gone back and forth on where I thought his loyalty lied so many times. Mm-hmm. But I think up until this point, I was back on the Snape is a good guy.
He's a double agent. A triple agent.
Yeah, because we had the conversation of, is there even such a thing as a triple agent?
When did you find out about this? He asked at last. Just now, said Harry, who was refraining from yelling with enormous difficulty. And then suddenly he could not stop himself. And you let him teach here, and he told Voldemort to go after my mum and dad!
Dumbledore is really bad at this.
What, keeping secrets?
No, just, like, giving information when it would be helpful.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, he does it on purpose for the power trip, because he gets off.
It's a lot of what Dumbledore gets off on this episode.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. It's because you're here.
All right, so Chris, are you ready for the lightning-struck tower?
I am not. My reaction can get you hits on YouTube, and I'm not okay with this.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Oh my god, I'm so excited! This is like the closest I've come to being spoiled in this process.
That's true.
And like getting to enjoy someone else's reaction. So I am, if there were a cartoon of me, I would literally be a fat cat smoking a cigar. Like baby money bags down at my ankles. I'm not sure.
Sir, are you alright? I've been better, said Dumbledore weakly, though the corners of his mouth
I don't
twitched.
like this.
That potion was no health drink. I'm not afraid, snarled Malfoy, though he still made no move to hurt Dumbledore. It's you who should be scared. But why?
Pause for just a second.
Okay.
Dumby, I hope you've got something in your pocket to shank this little shit.
Snape gazed for a moment at Dumbledore, and there was revulsion and hatred etched in the harsh lines of his face. Severus, please. Snape raised his wand and pointed it directly at Dumbledore.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
Avada Kedavra! And then he fell slowly backward, like a great rag doll, over the battlements and out of sight.
That was exactly my reaction.
What the fuck?
Agreed.
What the oh my god, I fucking hate you, Natasha.
Right?
You let me go on about them getting it on? Like, oh my god.
Oh my
god.
Remember? I purposely let him too, because I was just like, yeah, you're going to feel real weird about this later, buddy.
That was so awful, because we had done that recording and read that chapter, and it didn't record.
Oh my god.
And we cried.
Literally cried, guys.
We both cried, and we're just like, what the fuck? And didn't know what we were going to do. Like, we just both ended up, like, signing off. Like, we couldn't even talk anymore.
And then...
Owen.
Fucking
Owen.
Came to the rescue.
Oh my god, he saved the fucking day.
He did. I was just, like, I really didn't know what I was going to do. I was genuinely just like, well, guess I'll die.
Yeah, like there was no way to redo it. And
Nope.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a fucking lost cause. And fucking Owen. Hey, what about Chris?
I just I'll never forget that moment when he suggested it, because he said it like he really almost didn't want to say it. Like he was afraid that I was just going to be like, that's not the same. What are you even talking about? Like he thought I was going to bite his head off. And instead I just I was like mid cry, and I just stopped crying and looked at him and was like, oh, and I could tell because Owen, as he puts it, like he says it hurts him when I cry, like to see me cry. And he will just try and say anything to get it to stop. So
it's like she's on fire. You just want to put her out.
Right? So yeah, I think there was a part of him that was like, I really want to get her to stop crying, and I want to suggest something, but I don't want to just be suggesting things.
Right. I wanted
for the
to actually
sake
do
of
something
it.
that's useful, not just like trying to stop her. And it was the most useful thing ever.
The best. So yeah. So then we got Chris, who I really like. Chris has been spoiled on some other things that you hadn't been spoiled on, some different stuff.
Yeah.
And he is not like you, where he forgets immediately what the spoiler was. So a part of me was like, is
this one of those things?
Yeah, like I know he would have told me if he was straight up like spoiled on Dumbledore's death. Mm-hmm. But there was a part of me that was like thinking that he might not be as shocked because of something. And I don't know what that would be, but yeah, so
and he's expressed that a lot of times the information doesn't come up for him until he gets like almost triggered. Right. Like so like if it was something he knew about, he might have forgotten he'd known it till we got to that chapter. And then it started started making the connections and be like, oh, that's right. But no, he seemed like he was completely shocked.
Oh my God, I loved it so much. It was just it was, Chris is like me, where he can be real cynical about stuff. And to have just this like really pure moment of just, wait, no, stop the ride. I'm getting off. It was more than I could have hoped for.
Yeah. And he was like, so like, he was so, I can't believe I talked all that shit.
Right.
Like he was like, kind of like, a little, not embarrassed, but like felt bad.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You're going to feel weird about it. Yup. All right. We're almost done here. Let's see how long we've got. 6 minutes to go. Okay.
God damn it. I was so like, I thought only the love between these two could like turn the tide and like make Snape choose to fuck.
His last moments, he's still pleading. He still thinks Severus is on his side.
I know. That's, oh my God. My heart is in like 6 different pieces.
7.
I love that, because when I read the Avada Kedavra, I knew that was the same spell. I knew that's a death spell. Mm-hmm. And I was still like, nah. It's clearly a ruse.
I don't know how to feel. I'm like, I want to throw my Kindle into the street.
They've been toying with us with this whole Snape thing. Mm-hmm. Is he or isn't he? Is he or isn't he?
Why did I have faith in Snape?
Exactly.
That's like what everybody's asking at this point. Thinking?
Why would I think that he's not awful? He's been awful every minute. What was going on with me that I thought that he wasn't awful?
I know. I felt bad for him because he was bullied.
Yep.
I thought he's, and no, it's.
Oh, he's so
God
terrible.
damn it! You're a shithead. You were a shithead then. You're a shithead now.
Yep.
Draco was monologuing, so I thought this is going to be the moment where like everything gets saved somehow. Mm-hmm. And I thought Snape's coming up, and I'm like, oh, he's going to save everyone. So I held my breath, and then he fucking dashed my hopes on a bunch of fucking rocks.
When he shows up, I was all like, oh, how's he going to play this? Because he's got to save Dumbledore, but he's also got to save face with the Death Eaters. What's his wacky plan going to be? There's no wacky plan. He just fucking kills. Oh, I was so not ready. If I had it like a death poll, I think it might be Tonks. Only because I know that she's been at the school and she's not. Oh God,
she is at the school. Oh shit.
And she's not been in like her best form. But I mean, that's pretty much all I've got to base that on.
I find it interesting that both of you seem to think it's an adult whose body Malfoy stepped over.
Oh, I don't want to be a kid.
Oh, fuck you. Yeah, don't even plant that idea in my head.
Agreed. Take that back.
I'm just saying, it's a school.
Nobody asked you. No, if it's Luna, I'm mad. If it's Neville, I'm mad. Hermione, Ron, Jenny, mad. Maybe Cho.
It was I who invented them. I, the half-blood prince. And you'd turn my inventions on me like your filthy father, would you?
I didn't see it being Snape at all. I mean, I was already, wondering if he's a bad guy and focused so much on that it just never occurred to me that this would be him as well.
Right.
I feel like this reveal should have been like, oh my god, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
But I was so in a place of mourning and sadness and so over Snape that when it turned out that it was him, I was just like, yeah, fuck him, he's terrible anyway. Why wouldn't it be him?
Right, yep.
Kill me like you killed him, you coward! Don't! Screamed Snape, and his face was suddenly demented, inhuman, as though he was in as much pain as the yelping, howling dog stuck in the burning house behind them. Call me coward!
What is this thing with calling him a coward? What is his deal with being called a coward? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's something that came from the Death Eater side? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like, was there something, a big thing that was supposed to happen, and maybe it appeared to people that he had to chicken out, but really he didn't. But only he knows it, but he's perceived as being a coward. So I feel like there might be something there. I don't know what it's going to turn out to be, but he really does lose his shit if it's being called a coward.
This was neither as large as the locket he remembered seeing in the Pensieve, nor were there any markings upon it. No sign of the ornate S that was supposed to be Slytherin's mark.
This shit right here.
Yeah.
I am not in the mood. And he opens it and there's this fucking little note in it.
I face death in the hope that when you meet your match, you will be mortal once more. R.A.B.
Like, who are you, character, jumping in the book at the last fucking minute?
Right.
What is that about? I don't like that either.
You see? Said a strained voice. Tonks was glaring at Lupin. She still wants to marry him, even though he's been bitten. She doesn't care.
I didn't think much about this, but I like it so much more than just Tonks pining for Sirius. That there's actually another little love affair going on that we haven't really been made aware of. It's adorable. I really don't have any predictions yet. Malfoy was supposed to kill Dumbledore, and he did not do it. Snape had to do it. I'm wondering what his position is going to be. Dumbledore's portrait is up.
Right.
But he's sleeping in it.
Yeah.
How long before we get to talk to Dumbledore again? Do we ever get to talk to him? You're not going to tell me. Snape is now out of the closet. I can't wait for him to die. I don't know who's going to get to kill him. I hope it's Harry. I think it might. Maybe it won't be, though. I'd like it to be.
It's not a kid. Nobody fucking asked you. Well, maybe Cho.
I had forgotten about that. I think somebody messaged me and was like, yeah, I don't blame you. I'm over Cho too. I just said that. I also forgot how gleefully I was waiting for somebody to kill Snape.
Oh my god, how could you not be?
I am so exasperated by the end of this book, and I was not here for that RAB bullshit.
Oh, I
At the end of the
know.
book, I was so disgusted.
It's such an insult to injury. Just like, yeah, he's dead, and, also the reason he died is bullshit and irrelevant. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. It was all terrible. It was pretty fucking terrible. And then it got so much worse.
It's really like, all right, so I know that this is always something that's so difficult to really put into words. The Harry Potter books are not high literature, right? But
right.
I find the second half of the series to just be such a emotional roller coaster and filled with so many revelations. But I was listening to a podcast, I'm going to let it remain nameless. It was an older episode where they had a guest on, and she majored in English Lit, I think, and they were discussing, and she was like, the first 4 books are great, and then the last 3 kind of garbage. And I was like, and one of the hosts at least agreed with her, and I don't think the other one had read the series. And I was just like, how can you even say that? Like, I mean, it's not high literature. Sure, fine.
So,
how can you call it garbage?
Like, her critique was the story wasn't well thought out. It wasn't resolved well. Character development stopped, or what?
She felt like because her main reason for liking the first 4 so much was that they were really well written mystery plots, and that goes away a lot later on.
Well, yeah, there's no surprise. I'm not who you thought I was.
Right.
Like in the first couple of books, no fucking second faces, no people pretending to be someone else in Polyjuice Potion.
Right.
So the last 3 are very different in that respect. But I don't think they're lacking any of the tension that you get in those first books.
Yeah, and I don't feel like you can keep up a series just being with one the same kind of surprise every book and not have that get old, right?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like after, how many times they do it in the first book? By the 4th book, they're not doing that anymore. 4th book is Umbridge, right?
The 4th book is the Cup. So that's when we have, the big one with Barty Crouch. Yeah,
that's the last one though.
Yes.
Oh wait, you're saying Crouch? I forgot about Crouch.
Barty Crouch pretending to be Mad Eye.
Yeah. Oh, the kid. That's right. He was too. Okay, so that's the last time we see that kind of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think if that had carried on for the last 3 books, that would be really old.
I just don't feel like it's relevant anymore after a point. Like, we've moved on from kind of an almost monster of the week type format.
And also, the first books, Voldemort is not at his full power yet, so he can't just be the main.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has to have surrogates at the beginning. But by the 5th book, he's making moves now.
Right, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so
I would have thought that people would be more likely to not like the first books, but say the back half is really where it takes off,
Yeah, and that's the opinion that I have heard the most often. So it was just kind of shocking to hear that, and to hear the other co-host agree with her. And them both kind of they said it in this way, people are going to be mad at me for saying this, but, and I'm like, it's not just a fandom thing. I just genuinely don't understand how you can think that. And the fact that they both studied literature.
Well, that's what my next question was going to be because I haven't passed very rudimentary study. if their critique was based on like, well, this is how you tell a story in the classical sense.
I think that might be part of it, because like I was like, maybe they just have some kind of knowledge about the way this is traditionally or technically would be better, and I just don't have that kind of background to make that kind of judgment call.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely threw me a little bit because, yeah, like I said, most of the people that I hear talking about the series, it's the opposite, where you're like, yeah, you have to get through some childish stuff, and then it starts to turn into a sincerely, like, holy shit kind of story.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just...
Maybe that's part of the problem for some people who feel that way about the books. Like, if you hold that opinion of the books that the first 3 or 4 are better, maybe it's because the last books are so different, not just in the not a mystery or doesn't have like you said, a monster of the week thing going. It's a very different story that's being told, and maybe people have difficulty making that transition.
Maybe.
Which I wonder if it makes a difference if you read them all at once or you read them as they came out. Because I feel like if you read them as they came out, you probably age with the book, right? As opposed to, someone like, who's reading them now, you can just burn right through them and, you'll be the same age when you finish as when you started. Your life experience wouldn't have changed greatly. So I would almost be curious if when this person read them, how did she read them?
Yeah, that's a good question. That I'm not really sure.
I mean, there's no way for us to really know that, but I wonder if other people have that experience, like people who read them later and read them kind of all at once, and people who read them as they came out.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it just was kind of a shocking thing for me. So, and there might be listeners who agree, for all I know.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So if you are somebody who agrees, and especially if you're somebody who agrees and you have a background in literature and professionally critiquing it, I'd be really interested to hear your opinion on it, because I don't have that, all I know is what I like. And what I like tends to be characterization and imagination, which I think is what many people like. It's not a technical thing, it's just about, does this feel true? And is it something that feels cliched or new?
Right. Well, there are all kinds of very, and I'm talking a little halfway out of my ass, so guys forgive me. But certain standards, for writing, the idea of your overarching theme and whatever type of archetypes you have and all that kind of stuff. Did sort of work its way across genres,
Right.
I personally, because I just haven't studied it, and I like to think that I don't personally get hung up on stuff like that. But I guess if you spent a lot of time learning about it and studying it, and maybe it's what you do for a living, you can't help but bring that lens to everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the main question for me, is just when do you, it's sort of like with me with cooking, when do you just appreciate a grilled cheese versus expecting aged provolone with fig spread and, prosciutto.
Right.
And is that even a fair assessment of their problem with it? So yeah, I wanted to present that because I want to hear what other people are thinking about it, if they feel the same way. Because it really does seem like the people who are a big fan of this series, it seems like it's not about the construction of the story so much as the growth of the characters and the growth of the story in scope and the allegory. So yeah, just want to bring it up. Just want to mention it. And no, I won't tell you what podcast it was. So, but I feel like, was there anything you wanted to add? I feel like there was something else that while we were listening, I was like, ooh, I want to talk about this. Oh, Rab. That whole thing is so mean of her. Like, I'm having some moments in my series where I'm like, I know I'm going to have to write this thing this way. And I'm really not looking forward to it because that's going to be unfortunate. Like you and I were discussing, there's somebody who's kind of trying to set up like a master race, for lack of a better way of saying it. And would they encourage incest? Of course they would. Of course they would. And I'm like, I don't want this to be a thing. But yeah, that's like just historically true. Like when people have been into this, it's all about the purity of the bloodline and inbreeding as a result of that.
Right.
And there are just times where you're like, I know that I have to drop this information. I know that I'm going to have to do it somewhere. And I'm not like, do I do it at the beginning of a book where you just get annoyed right out of the gate with a new book? Or do I do it at the end when you're already pissed off and everything is terrible and you just throw another thing on the pile? And as an author, how difficult that decision is to make. Like, how much do I want to torment my readers and what form should that torment take? And I just wonder about how she decided to choose that moment. Why did Rab come at the end of that particular book? Because it is a little banana pants to have Dumbledore just killed and the revelation of who the Half-Blood Prince is.
Right.
And then be like, oh, and he died for nothing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, is it better to get it right out? Or would it have been better to wait until the next book and have everybody be like, oh, that wasn't a real Horcrux, psych? I guess it is better to just get it out.
I think so. I think, I mean, I didn't care for it as I was reading it, but for storytelling, because the desired effect is that it's pretty hopeless.
Right.
You know, it ends on a very down note where you just feel like, well, we can't fucking, what is it all for? You know? And you get a chance to sit with that, even if it's only for a week. But I imagine at the time, you know, it must have been pretty heavy to sit with that while you waited for the next book to come out. But then when the next book opens, it's like, well, okay, we know what challenges we're facing immediately.
Right.
You know, we know those anyway. So we know what we're going into. I think that you can do that when you're writing. It's risky. I think that if you can back it up, though, it pays off.
Right.
You know, but that becomes the question: is can you back it up? Can you write through that? You know, and keep your audience engaged and not just like, well, fuck this. This is, you know, why would I want to come back to this?
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that I don't think many authors have the self-awareness to be like, yeah, I can't pull this off.
Yeah.
So people are going to do that kind of thing, and then you're just like, well, then fuck this whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But she had built up enough goodwill by then because of how everything else had gone that people were like, oh, fuck you, but also I trust you.
Yeah, yeah. And she waits until, you know, she waits a long time before she pulls something like this.
That's true.
That's true. She doesn't come out the gate doing this, you know? So I think to your point about how much goodwill she's built up and how much trust that she's established. Because if she had tried something like this early, I would have been teased.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I want to say hi to new patrons, and then we'll wrap up. We have this week Tosca. Well, we missed last week, so this is actually 2 weeks worth of patrons. My cat just like fucking body slammed my goddamn microphone stand. Tosca, Chris Uso, Alex Bazan, Melissa Granados, Lacey Novak, Elizabeth Bergskaug, Ashley Biardi, Nikki Gerber, and Jay Francis, and Ryan as of today. So welcome to all of you delightful people, and especially throwing out a thank you to Elizabeth Bergskow, who sent us some big stashes of chocolate.
Oh my God, that's
from
right.
Norway.
I still have chocolate.
Right?
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that.
I almost don't, because I'm a fucking monster. But Elizabeth, like in the patrons group, was like, "Oh, be careful of that second one that's got bits of it's like almost like a Kit Kat sort of thing happening that's like scattered through it with sea salt." Girl, I annihilated that chocolate bar in like 2 days. She was not kidding. That stuff was so good. It just hit that perfect, like, little bit of saltiness, little bit of crunchiness. Oh my God. And it was that type of chocolate like Cadbury where it's super creamy and just really smooth. Elizabeth, you've created a monster. I'm about to start being like, so when's my bar? Is it in the mail already? Is it on its way? Wonder if those are on Amazon.
I was just thinking the same thing.
And thank you to Sheila Murray and Andrew Morris, who both donated this past month. It came at a perfect moment where I was scraping bottom because at the end of the month, it's always tough. And thank you very, very much, both of you, for being so generous. Really appreciate it. And you got a snitch.
I got a little golden snitch from Alex Irwin. It's I said crocheted or knitted because I don't really know the difference between the two.
Same.
But it's yarn.
Yes.
But it's cute, and it's got 2 little wings on it, and it's at my desk at work, so thank you, Alex, for that. Did you get yours yet?
No, I think that he said that he sent one to me, and it's just on its way. Okay. I don't know if he lives closer to you or what, but yeah, I haven't gotten mine yet. But I'm assuming it's the same thing, but it might be a different knitted thing, crocheted thing. I'm not sure. But yeah, thank you guys so much for all of the goodies and the goodwill, and it's delightful, and I'm really excited. Oh, and I had somebody earlier this week ask me if I have an unspoiled wish list, which I do. If you go to unspoiledpodcast.com and underneath the contact us button, there's a drop down menu, and there's the unspoiled wish list is there. And buttons to donate and buttons to use the Amazon link if you are from other countries. So thankfully my UK Amazon link has been reinstated, apparently.
Oh, good.
So that's cool. But if you're from the US, you could just use unspoiledpodcast.com/Amazon and shop that way. And if you bookmark it and use it every time, it's just like the most consistent, easy way to support the show other than being a patron. And
it doesn't cost anything extra?
It doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just like Amazon gives me a little bit of a little percentage, like 3% or 4% or something. And that goes up the more people do it. I get 6% at like the top end. So yeah, guys, get on it. And then it compounds itself. Sounds dirty when I say that. It compounded itself. Oh, do it again, but slow. I feel like I'm forgetting something that I wanted to mention, but I always feel like that. I feel like I live that way. RoShawn knows every time I'm talking to her. Every time. But yeah, guys, become patrons, patreon.com/unspoiled. And you pledge whatever you want, whatever you think is fair. And you get access to a bunch of legacy episodes that I recorded for patrons only. I did some solo Firefly episodes. I did the first 2 seasons of Black Mirror with me and Miles. I did solo episodes of the first 2 compendiums of The Walking Dead and Firefly. And I recently did Jessica Jones with Owen. And I did Luke Cage with Maggie. And I am not doing Iron Fist, so nobody ask. And I'm doing right now Twin Peaks, and that is available for patrons $5 and up. But I'm also doing Sherlock with RoShawn, and that is for $4 and below. And everybody. So there's a lot. There's a lot going on. And there will be more stuff. My merch on Zazzle, I have this little merch shop where you can get like prongs flip-flops, which I really want. I need to get myself a pair of those. An Unspoiled logo, like shirts and stuff. But it's a little bit lame because it's limited by their copyright policies.
Right.
So I tried to upload basic Snape stuff, both with and without the font, and it didn't accept it. But Chris earlier today said that he really wants an Unspoiled logo shirt that says on the back, the militant feminism of a recently divorced woman, which I think is kind of great. And I kind of want to do it. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how well those would sell, but it just sounds so funny. So yeah, if you guys have ideas of like catchphrases or weird things or things that are kind of inside jokes of the show that you would like to see on merch, let me know. Because it's easier for me to do stuff that's like an inside joke or a line or something than it is to do imagery or names. Like I really wanted to do Ain't Nobody Arresting Hagrid t-shirts, but I'm pretty sure Hagrid isn't allowed probably.
Oh.
You know, I don't know. Maybe I could get away with it if it was an image and it was just the words, but I'll try it. I'll see. Cause I would kind of like that. But yeah, guys, give me some ideas of what you would like to hear and see. And I will also start exploring other places to host my merchandise because maybe some other places aren't quite so picky about the copyright.
Get
thing.
some place with a little bit, little lax.
Right.
Somebody that's not watching every little thing.
That's the main thing is I just want to know, like, who keeps an eye on all this at a company as big as Zazzle? Like, I just imagine me submitting an order and then all these like red lights flashing and this. You
gotta find a much smaller place. You can't have somebody as big as Zazzle. That's
probably
the problem.
not. But the thing is, like a smaller place, I probably wouldn't be able to have a storefront. I would have to like order separately on my own from like Etsy or somewhere, and that's the part that it's an upfront cost. That's hard because I know Overdue does that. They order, they get like they set a goal for how many people want something, and if they reach it, then they place the order for the shirts. But if they don't, then just nobody gets any shirts. So it's kind of, that might be something that I want to look into if people are interested at all in that kind of merchandise, because the basic Snape thing for me, I really, really would like. That and some prong sandals, and I am good. So yeah, get at me, guys. Let me know. I think that's everything.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all so much again for listening. I didn't check reviews to see if we have any new ones, but I will next week. And
thanks again to Austin.
Yeah, thank you, Austin, so much. I was just cracking up. He was like, after hearing your reaction to the length of the last episodes, I decided to trim this one down a little bit. I was like, I don't know what you mean. So yeah, thank you, Austin, very, very much for that. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. There is a Reddit for Unspoiled, and Austin started that too.
Oh, he did it? He said he was going to.
He did.
I don't mess around with the Reddit, so, but that's cool.
I am also not messing around with Reddit. Like, for me, it is a black hole where I will go for hours and then come back up, and I'll be like Rip Van Winkle and all gray and what happened? And everybody around me will be like, you stink. What happened? So I avoid it because I'm just susceptible. But with so many people who don't like to use Facebook now, like a lot more people are kind of taking a stand where they don't want to use it anymore. Reddit is a good spot to have discussions and stuff. So I think Austin has been pretty on top of like posting when there's a new episode on there and everything. Like, I went and checked it out briefly the other day because I was like, yeah, I should go check on this. And there was just tons of posts, and I believe that he has done like all of them.
Oh, wow.
And they were just, updates of, oh, this episode just came out, to give people an opportunity, a place to talk about that specific episode. So y'all should check that out because I think that's an awesome idea. And I'll be in and out of there a little bit, trying to be very careful about it,
Mm-hmm.
All right. that is sincerely everything. Thank you, everyone, so much. Thank you, Austin. Thank you to donors and gift givers and patrons. And we will see you again next week with a new episode. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.